I'm Candy, President of Affordable Bookkeeping and Payroll Services, and today I wanted to show you how to do your correction for your 941 that was originally filed in 2020 prior to being able to take the Employee Retention Tax Credit. Now that you are allowed to have both the Paycheck Protection Program loan and the Employee Retention Tax Credit, to be able to claim that, you'll have to revise what was originally filed with the IRS in the past quarters. Now, most people are going to be using the second quarter for 2020, as that is the first period that they had a significant reduction in their income, or they were shut down partially or completely and can claim the credit. If you have employees that didn't have at least $10,000 of wages in the second quarter and you still qualify in the third, you can also revise that quarter as well. But keep in mind again that the maximum wages for 2020 is $10,000 for the year. So anyone that makes more than that, even in the second quarter alone, you'll have to revise the amount of wages that are allowed for this credit. But what I'm going to do is go ahead and share my screen and show you the information that you will need to do this. What you'll want to have gathered is your the original 941 return that was filed in that quarter. You'll need a 941X, which is the form to adjust your wages, and there is a worksheet that you can also use. I did find it a little difficult to actually find a blank worksheet that could be filled in. So if you have trouble finding it, you can email us at contact@A as in apple, B as in boy, the word and, P as in Paul.com, and we'll be happy to send that off to you. You'll want to have a payroll journal for March 13th through March 30th as well. Your payroll records that will show what you paid, because you can also claim those wages on the ERTC credit on the second quarter return. So again, you have this worksheet that you're going to go through and fill out to complete, to figure out your calculations. You'll have your 941X, the blank one. I did not fill in the top part. I actually used numbers from an actual customer, and I just didn't want to, give their information away. So I went ahead and completed another one with the information here blank. The main thing you need to remember, of course, you need to select the proper quarter that you want to report in, put the year that this applies to, and of course, the date that you discovered. This is actually the date that I completed the form. Most of the time when you discover an error, that's the actual date, but this was actually due to a change in law. So I would just put the date that you're actually doing it. If you wanted to know that it goes back to, the end of December 2020, you could do that as well. Alrighty, so you want to make sure that you select either the adjusted employment return or claim. In this case, I'm saying it's a claim. And at the very bottom, you want to say that the claim is for the tax that you did not withhold from the employee wages. And again, when you move on to another page, you want to make sure you fill this all in at the top. Again, I just went ahead and put the second quarter in the year, and then we're going to fill in the numbers that we have. Okay, so again, what you want to do is go back. I'm going to start with the worksheet here so you can see the information that you need. So you're going to start on 1A, enter the amount of your Social Security wages from your Form 941. So that is in this row here. There's the column 5. I'm sorry, row 5. They want your column 1. So the 50,817.11 is what we have put here. Then you multiply that by 6.2%, which is the employer share of the Social Security. If you have any other things here that qualify, you would fill that in. Now, my client did not have any of these that need to be completed. So we have a total of 3150.66. Then it wants to know what is the total non-refundable credits that you've already used. If you did use any, you would fill that in. In this case, we did not. So the total employer share of the Social Security tax remaining is the 3150.66. We're going to skip step 2, as that does not apply in this case. And we're going to continue down to step 3. So again, it's asking you for the qualified wages from the second quarter. So again, you can go to the 941 if you had it filled out, or in this case, it says if you did a correction on the 941X, line 30. Now I had to go back and actually complete all three of these kind of together, going back and forth to figure out what these numbers were, because you don't have the 941X total until you calculate some of these amounts. But again, on the 941X, I'm going to go down through, and on this one, we did find the non-refundable portion of the employee retention credit again. That's the 3150.66 we calculated in part 1 of that worksheet. You're also going to draw that number down here on line 23. If you have any other items in 19 through 22, of course, you would fill that in. And we didn't have any family leave or sick leave again, so this is blank, and they didn't defer any Social Security taxes. So here is the refundable portion of the employee retention credit that we calculated. And oh, it looks like I have here the 35,156 is the total of the 32,534 and the 3150.66. That's the total credit that they are allowed. They then go back again and want to know your qualified wages. So again, we have the 58,1711. We don't have any health plan expenses to include. Then again, the qualified wages from March 13th to March 31st, we've added. And again, we do not have any healthcare expenses to list for that period. And then on the final page, you're going to explain why you have these changes. And of course, I had completed just saying that we were told that they were shut down between certain dates, and that allowed them to qualify for this credit. And I put all the details. Again, for privacy issues, I'm not showing you the return that it actually did. But the worksheet, again, will just walk you through this process. So here's the 58,1711. Which was, again, from the second quarter wages. The qualified wages for March was the 19,494.89. When you add that together, we get this total here. We multiply that by 50% to find the total retention credit. Then they want, again, the amount that was the non-refundable portion, and then the refundable portion. And then these will flow through again, back and forth between your 941X. You'll look at your 941 and using this worksheet to calculate your amounts due. It is a little bit confusing because you do have to go back and forth. There are instructions on the updated 941X instructions do tell you if something was reported on a certain line on the 941, that's now on the 941X. But the main thing to remember is it's total wages up to $10,000 per employee in the quarter that you will count as qualified wages. Again, you'll go back to March and pull that information as well. If you had healthcare plan expenses, you can also include those in your calculation, and then just determining what their credits are that they want you to do these calculations for, and then transferring that information again to the proper lines here on your 941X. So mainly you're going to have line 18. If you have a medical expenses you can include, you'll also add that into these lines. Again, my client did not. And this one, normally when you're doing a 941X, if you're subtracting A minus B and you have a positive here, you have positive here, but the instructions do tell you to put a negative amount, because when you scroll down here, if your amount is positive, it looks like you owe the money rather than number 2, it being the credit. So make sure you have a negative here, and then you'll go ahead and send that into the IRS for that correction, and your CPA can assist you with claiming that deduction. So again, it's a little bit overwhelming sometimes and confusing. It took me a little bit of time to actually find all the information as well and be able to complete this. But I hope it did explain a little bit to you about how to use the form to calculate the amounts from your original 941 onto the 941X using that worksheet. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to us, 310-534-5577, and our email is contact@abandp.com. All right, have a great day. Bye-bye.